What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check updates, the two new upcoming packages, the physical infrastructure package, and the next stimulus package, named the American Families Plan, as well as what is going on with our country and what is going on in Washington, D.C. We have some breaking massive news for new payments, new checks for tens of millions of Americans. We have some hot news that is actually not so good for America, but is somewhat kind of normal. I'll explain that here. And a lot of breaking news about what is going on with the next stimulus package and the next infrastructure package, and kind of what is the proceedings going on with the passing and the movement of what we're going to be seeing here in the next few days on that. We'll be going over all that in this video, so let's get into that right now. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here on our channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, hit the like button. It tells YouTube that you like our videos and that I'm doing a good job. Okay, finally, California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed into law the new economic recovery bill and California budget. They were kind of waiting. He couldn't sign it into law because he was waiting for the rest of the bill to be on his desk. But now, as of this morning, he has signed the rest of this bill into law, which will put $600 stimulus checks on the state level to more than 25 million California residents. These are on the state level, so we're going to hopefully be seeing a lot more states do this. This is a very, very large package for the state. I mean, we're talking about over 25 million people. I think it's actually up to 27 million people. Anybody making up to anybody making up to $75,000 in the state of California can qualify for a $600 stimulus check and an additional $500 stimulus check if you have children, for a total of $1,100 stimulus check from the state of California. We're hopefully going to be seeing more states do this. We've also seen New Jersey issue this, but for actually a little bit less than 1 million people in New Jersey, just to show you the different size and scale of this. New Jersey has a $500 check for families with children. That just happens to be their qualification. California's qualification for the first round was for anybody making up to $30,000 that filed a tax return. Now this second round is for people making up to $75,000, $600. If you have children, it's an additional $500 for $1,100 up to $75,000. New Jersey is less than 1 million people. California is now going to be like 27 million people. It's really big news because of how many people it is. I understand you might not be from one of these states, so hopefully we will continue to see more and more states, cities, and counties do this, as states, cities, and counties are all getting their own fair share of $350 billion with a B from the third stimulus check package. They've all gotten this money just recently within the last few weeks. And a lot of states, cities, and counties only have gotten half of their money. They get the other half of their money like later on this year after they prove to the federal government how they spend it. They can spend it only in certain ways. And they have to spend a certain portion of their money on programs like this that benefits their residents. So hopefully, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of these states, cities, and counties are very, very slow, very similar to the government. I mean, they are the government. Very similar to the IRS, that a lot of them, they're just very far behind. A lot of cities and states are actually like voting on this. We actually seen, what was it, Saginaw, Michigan is actually like asking their residents how they want to spend the money. So to be honest, a lot of these states, cities, and counties are going to take a lot of time to figure out how to spend this money. Some states like New Jersey and California are quicker on the trigger and are actually giving stimulus checks back to their residents. As California emerges from the pandemic, state leaders have approved a $100 billion plan. That's a lot just for one state, to spur the recovery, with stimulus checks going out to rent relief, state stimulus payments, and grants to businesses. On Monday, Gavin Newsom capped a series of recent actions on what he is calling his California comeback plan by signing budget legislation that will trigger a massive distribution of cash to struggling residents and businesses. Hopefully, more states will follow. Harnessing the largest surplus in state history, quote, is what the governor's saying here. We're making transformative investments across the board that will help bring all our communities roaring back from this pandemic and pay dividends for generations to come, Governor Gavin Newsom said in a statement. The budget will help the recovery by providing stimulus checks to middle class Californians and immediate relief for small businesses, among other initiatives, according to the governor and legislative leaders. Yeah, so congratulations to residents of California that are going to qualify for this. And hopefully we see more of this. Again, just like similar to the forced stimulus check, where I say contact your senators, contact these decision makers like Senator Joe Manchin, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, President Biden, all these people that are kind of like the swing votes, the decision votes. Feel free to contact your governor, your state senators, your state representatives, and say, hey, I know we're getting this federal stimulus money. You should consider giving a state stimulus check like the state of California, the state of New Jersey, North Carolina has done this in the past with $335 stimulus checks. New Mexico, I believe, has done it in the past with, I think it was $500 checks. We've seen other ones like Orange County, Florida has done 3 different rounds of $1,000 stimulus checks for the county. Remember, cities and counties are each all getting their own money as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of these different type of programs, as well as mortgage and rental assistance, utility assistance, and all sorts of different assistance programs coming out in the near future. And I will keep you updated. Sometimes I do programs where I'll just have a show where I just go over literally dozens and dozens of programs, like just going over states, cities, and counties. I'll just rapid fire, like literally like 50 different programs across the states and cities and counties, just to kind of like let you know about as many of them as I know about. So I'll let you know, or I'll have a video when I come up with a lot of those programs. So stay tuned. Okay, next up, some not so good news. Consumer price index rise 0.9%, which means that inflation basically went up almost a full 1%, 0.9%, just in the month of June alone. And inflation is up 5.4% for the year. Uh, yeah, so basically we almost went up a full 1% of inflation in June, just in 1 month alone. Inflation for the past 12 months is up 5.4%. Yeah, inflation is red hot right now. As you can see here, consumer price indexes rose 0.9% in June, according to data released Tuesday by the Labor Department, heating up from the previous month. The Consumer Price Index, the CPI, a closely watched gauge of inflation, increased to an annualized rate of 5.4% last month amid a summer rush of economic activity. Yeah, so we're seeing inflation pretty much everywhere. I do want to say that this is, if we look back in history, I'm a student of history. If you've been watching the show, you know I'm a student of history. We talk about the Great Depression a lot. We talk about the 2008-2009 recession a lot. Because again, history tells us a lot of what is going to happen in the future, what types of things will happen in the future based on what has happened in the past. And a lot of what has happened in the past kind of teaches us the lesson of what we should do in the future. And that is how the Social Security programs and the unemployment programs became about from the Great Depression of 1929 through the 1930s. And that's when they created the unemployment programs and the Social Security programs. That terrible depression actually, a phoenix rose out of it and created those programs that we still have today. That if we didn't have that depression, it's kind of weird to say that without that terrible depression, we wouldn't have these programs that many, many Americans rely on. Now, inflation is a somewhat normal thing when you come out of a recession. You have a period of low inflation. You have a period where people don't have money. Everything's doing terrible. Inflation is barely existent. Nobody's doing good, so nobody has money. And then you see these shortages. You see lumber shortages like we're dealing with. You see car shortages. You see housing shortages. And what happens is inflation goes crazy after you start to come out of this, especially when you're dealing with global supply chains like you're dealing with right now in so many different industries and even food shortages, not to mention the hacks that we're dealing with that is causing gas shortages, the OPEC um, issue we're dealing with right now, where they're kind of constraining gas right now, which is causing gas prices to go up. There's all these different factors at play. And you can actually go back and look at articles. I mean, this is actually a recent article, but when you go back and look, inflation, the last time it was the highest was in 2008 and 2009 when we were coming out of the last recession. So it is actually a somewhat normal thing, but it really, I mean, I'm not saying it makes it better, but I mean, everybody, sounds the red alarm, but this does tend to happen when you're coming out of a recession or depression. Now we're coming out of it very, very slowly. The 2008, 2009 recession, it took us 4 to 5 years for unemployment to get back to normal. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that this temporary inflation will likely be temporary and we'll probably see these surges of inflation temporarily. Now, we will probably see a big jump in COLA, cost of living adjustment for Social Security here. We probably might see one of the largest Social Security increases to help combat this. So when you get your annual cost of living adjustment, also known as COLA, if you're on Social Security, when that comes out for the next year, a lot of these monthly cost inflation, month over month increases are kind of already in the books. So we already have an idea of what it could be. We're possibly looking at one of the largest cost of living adjustments for Social Security. Could be the highest in as many as 13 years. So at least this will be somewhat of a consolation prize for people on Social Security, that the annual cost of living adjustment is likely going to be a much larger raise than we have seen in the past several years, which has really only been like around 1.3%, around there for several years. We could be seeing somewhere as high as 3, 4, or 5%, which is still significantly higher than we have seen in the last several years. Now, remember, as I said, a lot of this inflation has to do with like lumber prices, food prices, gas prices, things in certain industries that really the industry is having a shortage problem. We're seeing this with computer chips right now. There's a global computer chip problems, which is affecting many, many industries. There's a huge car shortage problem where if you go to buy a new car, many, many cars are selling for over MSRP because, well, there's a shortage. So it causes temporary inflation in all these different markets, which is it's temporary because there's just a shortage in product. So I don't know how long this will last, but they are going to pass these next two packages. Whether I like it, you like it, or anybody. There's some people saying don't pass the next stimulus package, but I would rather see people get more checks in their pocket, get more child tax credits, get Social Security raises. When we talk about some of these items on this list that they're discussing for the next stimulus package, items like these right here are items that could go on forever. When we look at items like number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. These are items that could go on forever. Items like number 2, 3, 4, and 5 are items that could put money in your pocket forever. Monthly stimulus checks, Social Security raises. Well, Medicare expansion doesn't put money in your pocket, but it does give you benefits that could go on forever, like hearing, dental, vision, and hearing aids. That has a very real chance of being in this next package. And they say that 75% of seniors do not have those current benefits. So a lot of these particular items highlighted here are things that are not just a one-time thing, like a forced stimulus check, that is really a one-time check. So a lot of these items are things that can combat inflation for many, many years to come, and could really help out people. I mean, the Social Security raise, as an example, can really help out seniors for the rest of their life. A $200 per month Social Security increase would really help out seniors forever. I mean, Medicare expansion would help out seniors forever to give them hearing, dental, vision, and hearing aids. I see so many comments from people down below in the comments to say they can't afford dentures. They can't afford hearing aids. They literally can't go to the eye doctor because they can't afford their medicine. They can't afford their prescription. I've seen in the last few days when we've been talking about this, people that say they can't afford their prescriptions because they're hundreds or thousands of dollars. They're trying to solve this in this next package. And that presidential executive order that I just did a video about, I'll link you to that video that they just did here in a moment. At the end of this video, I'll link you to that, about that presidential executive order that President Biden just did. That's a very, very important step towards reducing these prices for prescription drugs, being able to get the same exact prescription drugs from companies like Canada, basically just import them, the same prescription drug prices, and get them for way, way lower cost, because these pharmaceutical companies sell them to other countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia. They sell them to these countries for less than they sell them to us. That's kind of step one. The next step is to, by law, force these pharmaceutical companies to say that they can't sell these pharmaceutical drugs to the United States or to Americans for any more money than they sell it to for any. If they sell it to another country for $10, they can't sell it to Americans or the US government for anything more than $10. Because right now, what they do is they sell it to another country for $10, and then they sell it to us for like $100. I know, it's criminally, it's criminal, really. Now here's the thing: the Senate is eyeing up taking the bipartisan infrastructure deal as soon as July 19th, which is 6 days away right now. So we could possibly have parts or all of this bill passed within the next 6 days. Also, President Biden and Senator Bernie Sanders have met, and the bills are swelling past $3.5 trillion. So we're getting a lot of information where we're starting to see Democrats are closing in on a deal to unlock the massive infrastructure package bill. Also, we're getting details that the infrastructure deal could face key Senate Republican defections, which means we might see some Republicans starting to say, well, I don't know, we might vote no on the bipartisan bill. So we're seeing a lot of things come through right now saying the Republicans are starting to waver. They might vote no. They're not sure about this. Democrats are getting ready to basically figure out what they're putting in this bill. We're going to be getting details on that. They could be voting on this within the next few days. I will keep you tuned on that. Senator Bernie Sanders and President Biden just met and think that the next stimulus package could be as high as $3.5 trillion. If it weren't for Senator Joe Manchin, they could probably do that. That would make this next stimulus package the largest yet to date by a long shot. Remember, the third stimulus check package, the American Rescue Plan, was only $1.9 trillion. That would make this almost double. But Senator Joe Manchin only wants to spend around $2 trillion. And remember, they need every senator's vote to pass this next stimulus package, every single senator. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, because if they don't get every single senator's vote, they don't get the 50 votes to pass it. So I'll keep you up to date on this. I actually have a lot of things that just came across my desk that I'm going to be researching for. I have a lot on the unemployment lawsuits that just came in. I have some Senator Bernie Sanders news regarding the next package that just came in. There's a lot coming in here. I will see you in the next video at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, new videos come out here on my channel here, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. Don't miss any episodes at this point, because we're going to be getting a lot of information on what's going to be in this package, when they're going to be passing it, how close we are. We're getting down to the nitty gritty at this point. Make sure to subscribe. It's completely free to do so. It literally costs you nothing. After subscribe, and click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button to all notifications to get a little reminder notification when we go live with new videos. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. This bottom video is about child tax credit checks and unemployment checks that are going out within the next 2 days. And this video is about President Biden's new presidential executive order. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.